Welcome in, everybody. Here with a very special guest who we get the privilege to chat with about once a year, I would say. Who needs absolutely no introduction, but Atlanta United legend, absolute legend in North American soccer in general, Michael Parkhurst. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, we need to make it more often than once a year. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, for real. Hey, we can make it happen whenever. We can
Okay.
definitely make it happen. So, hopefully, it'll be in the future when Atlanta United is a little bit more exciting to watch and things are maybe going more positively for the club. But I guess just to dive into it, man, like what are your overarching thoughts about Atlanta United as it stands 9 games in?
Yeah, like everybody else, disappointed. I think that we watched the early games and I tweeted something like, yeah, I think this team's going to score a ton of goals and they're going to be exciting to watch. And you felt that a little bit like, okay, we've got some pace up top now. Um, the transition should be quick and exciting, and it just I don't know, hasn't materialized. And that's been really unfortunate and really disappointing to see, honestly. And, you see glimpses which make you think that, hey, we're close. But, I think the fan base is probably sick of being close. Right. The front office spent a lot of money in the off season to not be close anymore, to be good. And we're not good. And so that's a problem. So yeah, disappointed, but I do still think it's there. I do think that this season is not lost or anything. That there's definitely a turnaround capable.
I feel like I ask you this question every time that we've chatted over the past couple of seasons, but as a captain in a situation like this where you kind of see the body language, maybe not, you know, super exciting. You got players essentially quote unquote fighting at the training ground. How do you take what's happening right now as a captain, as a leader in the locker room, and try to mold it into something that's going to be productive?
Yeah, it's really challenging in times like this because the snowballs start to turn. And I don't even mind fighting at training. It happened a lot, and you need that because it shows there's some competitive spirit. There's some fight
Yeah.
there, right? They're fighting for a reason, and hopefully it's because one guy's getting after another guy for not being good enough, and that other guy thinks he's being good enough, and they go at it, which is fine, honestly. And sometimes it's needed. I don't know if that's what they were fighting about or not, but if it is, then great. But it's challenging because on one hand you try and say, hey, have patience. The season is long. Don't be crazy. Don't overreact to things. But on the other hand, you say, hey, we need a sense of urgency here and we need to turn things around and we need to win any way possible. Right now, it's like, I don't even care about playing pretty. I don't care about scoring 4 goals. Like, if we need to grind out a 1-0 goal or a 1-0 win on an own goal or something, like, F it. That's what we do, because right now, 3 points is 3 points. And that's what we need. And all of a sudden, if you win back to back games, as ugly as they are, confidence starts to build. And then you can go out there and play a little bit nicer and play pretty and play freely and whatever. But until then, right, the grind is on. And I think that right now it's like, hey, everybody needs to look at themselves in the mirror and make sure that they're doing everything possible 24 hours a day to make sure that they're getting ready to get 3 points every weekend.
How easy is it as a professional athlete in general? And I definitely want to talk about beyond goals mentoring with you and Greg as well. And maybe this kind of ties into that. But when it comes to kind of like these moments where you're just kind of in the dumps, essentially, how easy is it to allow that to affect kind of your overall professional vibe? I mean, because you mentioned 24 hours a day, right? How easy is it for that to kind of creep in and start affecting, other parts of your life in general?
Oh, very easily. Very easily. I mean, just like anyone, right? Where you take work home with you, right? You're
Yeah.
annoyed and you're irritated and it carries on back to the house and you try not to. And that's the benefit of players with kids, right? And that's the great thing about having some kids at the house sometimes is, they don't care how the season's going or
Yeah.
how training went, right? They just want to play with dad. And so that's nice because you get away from it a little bit versus going back to an empty apartment and you're just kind of stewing in it all day. That's a little bit more challenging. But it is like with everything, there's such a balance, right? I said that they need to be focused on doing whatever they can 24 hours a day. And some of them are for sure, and some of them need to refocus just a little bit, but that doesn't mean every minute of every hour they're focused on, the game and the next play and the next day and whatever, right? No, that's not what I'm saying. But, proper rest and hydration and all that stuff you can do while going out and living your life away from Atlanta United. And that's needed because we need to get away mentally, especially during these points where it's a grind, but also I think it helps to come back a little bit more happy the next day and excited because everyone plays their best when they have a smile and they're happy and they want to be there. In moments like this, that's a little bit more difficult, but you have to step back and look big picture that, hey, you're still a professional athlete, you still get to play soccer for fun as your job. And so, yeah, you should go out there with a smile on your face and be excited every day, even if the situation is what it is.
So is that kind of a similar thing that you would tell some of the young folks that you guys are mentoring? And by all means, I know we've talked about it here before, but explain kind of what y'all are doing with Beyond Goals mentoring.
Yeah, we're just helping athletes get better off the field, right? They get a lot of training on the field, and we just want to help them get better off the field. So we do a lot of the mental side of the game, and then a lot of video stuff. I mean, shoot, even Noah hit me up the other day and said, "Hey, let's
Yeah.
watch some video together." And I said, "Sure, let's do it." Right? And so, it's for players of all ages, yeah, but yeah, we enjoy doing it, Greg and I, for sure. It's something we're passionate about, and it's really beneficial. The mental side of the game is so important. The players on Atlanta United right now, it's such a mental battle. It really is, and until you win a game or two and get things rolling, that mental grind is just as strong as the physical.
So then with that, to piggyback on it, and maybe to kind of pick on Noah Cobb a little bit, we have an article over on scarfsandspikes.com kind of hitting on Noah and what he's brought, kind of to the club. But with Noah specifically, as much as you can share, what is it that you see with Noah that just kind of stands out to you as a player and a person?
He's very mature beyond his years. That sticks out right away, right? He understands what it means to be a pro, what it takes to be a pro. He's got that, which is a huge step for a younger player. He's got a good soccer brain on him. He sees things well out on the field. When we watch video together, he sees things that younger players usually don't see, and he understands situations well. He's good on the ball, and he's also very athletic as far as like he's got good pace and he jumps really well too. He's probably just a little bit taller than I was, but he's way better in the air than I was. He's very good leap. So he's got all the tools needed to have success, and I hope he gets a good run of games because I think that's similar to like a Noah Allen down in Miami, right? And so you need a good run of games to really get comfortable, and not just an away game at Columbus or a random away game at Philly, right? Where it's like, dang, that's tough. So I hope that he gets a good run of games here.
Yeah, me too. And he might, with
Hmm.
Skion being out for a few weeks and
Yep,
Derek kind of on the tail end of some stuff. I mean, we've been saying it forever. I mean, not to make it all about Noah, but I would love to have him just go out there for 5, 6, 7 games and just really like settle in because when he has those spot minutes, he does really well. But I think there's something about just having that consistency that you just have less to think about.
for sure. For sure. And there's always growing pains. I mean, there's, every defender makes mistakes and younger defenders are going to make some mistakes, right? I felt bad for Dom the other night. I thought he had a pretty good game. And he makes the one mistake where you get your feet mixed up a little bit, and sure, of course they punish you, right? It happens more frequently as a younger pro, it seems like, whenever you make a mistake. And
Yeah.
but you live with that, knowing that, hey, this experience is so beneficial for him, and it's going to provide such growth for him that it's going to make him a better pro for us, throughout these years.
So I guess kind of the 30,000 foot view of Atlanta as it stands now. As we're recording this, I guess 14 hours from Shondae Silva being traded to St. Louis. It was really kind of the main move for Atlanta here at the end of the primary transfer window. But is there anything that you see with the way that this team is playing tactically or whatever else that you just think, not to second guess the coach, but like what would you do differently, if anything at all?
Yeah, I think the biggest decision, I think, is based around Miguel. And if Miguel's your best player can be versatile, right? Miguel can play on the wing. Of course, he played on the wing at Newcastle. But for some reason, Miguel's not playing at the highest level right now, at his personal highest level. And you have to try and figure out why that is and how to benefit him the most. And is it playing centrally or is it playing wide? And I think that for me personally, from what I've seen, I think he needs to play in the middle. I think that when he's wide, he's a little too isolated and doesn't have a foothold of the game. And you just ask too much of him defensively, to be completely honest. If I have Miguel on my team, I'm willing to do extra work defensively and let him kind of meander a little bit defensively, knowing that, hey, if we get on the counterattack and I give Miguel the ball, we're freaking gone, right? Him and Latte Loft, boom, go. Just like him and Joseph, like just do it. And so, yeah, Jeff and Darlington and Julian and everyone, yeah, we'll run more because we have these guys. And so there's few players that you allow that for, and Miguel's one of them. And so if it were me, I'd have Miguel centrally. And so that then dictates things from there. If you have to stay in a 4-3-3 because you're stuck on it for some reason, right? What do you do with Alexi? Can you play him as an 8? Do you play 2 number 10s and have 1 D mid behind them? That takes a very athletic or a very smart player. You've got the athleticism with one player and you've got the smarts in another. So it's like, who plays there? That's a big ask for a single 6. If you play them side by side, can Alexi do that? Maybe. Now, if you do stick with that, who's playing on the wing, right? You've got
Saba on the right, yeah.
Well, yeah, you've got Saba on one wing, and now who do you play on the other wing? Right, that's an open spot potentially right now. So there's big questions. I think that me personally, I'd probably go to a 3-5-2. I would. I think both outside backs would thrive in a 3-5-2. Miguel obviously would thrive in a 3-5-2, and it keeps Alexi as a 10. Miguel can play as the second striker. You've got Alexi underneath him, two midfielders behind him, and you figure out what 3 center backs you're going to go with. For me, you play Noah, and I know Stian is out right now. So I would honestly play Edwards back there and put a veteran in there with him, whoever that might be. But that's probably what I would do. And that's based around your best players, Miguel, Latte, and Alexi, and figuring out how to get them on the field and get the most of them. That leaves Saba out, which is unfortunate, but I don't know. That's probably what I would do, but I don't know. It's tough. If he wants to stay with a 4-3-3, though, those are the questions that you need answers for. And I don't think that he's got them yet. And I think he's been trying to figure out, how can I play this guy here? Can I do this? Like Muyumba is sometimes what we would call a coach killer. He's a guy that has phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
And he can be one of the best 8s in the league. And then he can turn around and have an absolute stinker.
Yep.
And, it's the coach sees that, hey, he's got this and he's got this. So put him in. And then he has bad performance. And then he has a great performance and then a bad, and then great. And until he can get more consistent, it's I can understand now why Rob Valentino, when he was manager, he didn't play. He didn't play much anyways.
Yeah.
And I don't know how his training habits are or anything about him as a professional. I just, 30,000-foot view. Because when I watched the Philly game, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough choices for the manager, no doubt.
Man, there's a lot to unpack there. That's good. I like it. So, because man, you get to this point where it just feels like I think you're banging your head against the wall, just trying to figure out like there's so much talent. How do you make it work? Can it work? I think that's where fans get at some point because they're like, forget the money that was spent, but it's like there's some known quantities here. We know Miggy, and we know his strengths. I mean, you mentioned it. Some of the most exciting and effective moments back in the day, the golden years or whatever we call it now, were those moments that you described where Miggy's kind of, floating out there. Joseph, whoever is kind of floating out there. You do that extra work defensively. You remain steadfast. And then the moment that counterattack opportunity hits, you know who you're looking for. And those two or whoever up top kind of know each other and they know each other's habits. And is it always going to be perfect? No. But you have two guys that are incredibly fast. I mean, Latte Lath is ridiculous. And then
Mhm.
Miggy, I mean, he might be older, but he hasn't lost much of a step either. So I guess that's my roundabout way of kind of asking, like, have you been on teams similar to this where you just felt like, obviously you have your job, but what can you kind of contribute to the team in maybe your limited capacity as a player with the things that aren't going well for you? For example, the attack struggling, even though the talent's there. As a defender, does it just come down to I've got to do a little bit more work to free these guys up? Is it just that simple?
Yeah, it's tough. Well, you know that your job becomes a little bit more challenging in that you need to be you need to be so clean, right? Because it
Yeah.
seems like right now we can't give up goals because if we're struggling to score goals and we're giving up goals, that's not a good recipe for getting points. So then the emphasis becomes okay, we need to be clean defensively, we need to be sharp, and we need to try and get zeros. I mean, obviously, you're always trying to get zeros, but sometimes you're willing to throw more numbers forward and take more risks. But right now, I don't know. That's the tough balance. Do you throw numbers forward and try and help the attack, or do you say, hey, we need to be locked down defensively and in hopes that we can at least get a shutout and walk away at the very minimum 0-0, versus being a little bit leaky and not scoring goals. And maybe that just comes with playing home or away or whatever. So I don't know. It's just tough as a defender when we're not scoring goals. And that they just come and go sometimes. And shoot, even back in the day, it's not like we were always scoring tons of goals, right? We went through periods where it wasn't good and we had to suffer a little bit. And honestly, when we were at our best, sometimes we didn't have a ton of possession and we sat back and we took it and then we countered. And maybe we need to do a little bit more of that instead of pressing and being all over them and dictating the play and everything. Like just sit back, be tough to play against, and leave your two fast guys up top and go score on the counterattack.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's a little bit of like a stigma with in the modern game teams playing counterattacking football? Because I feel like, at the end of the day, the result, the goal is to win. And if you have the tools that maybe would fit a counterattacking team better, why not use them? Is it like is it a pride thing? Is it just like because it's just not the way that we want it to go? We don't want our game to be played that way. Like what does that come down to?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's definitely not the beautiful game. Uh, and it takes certain players to buy into that. And right, because everybody wants the ball. You don't want to go out there and defend for 60 to 70% of the game.
Yeah.
It just stinks. You're just running side to side and up and back, and then you get the ball for a few seconds, and you try and get a quick counter attack, and then if it doesn't work, it's okay. Drop back, get in our shape. Right? Let's just defend for another 2 minutes straight. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So you need guys that understand how to do it and want to do it. And, that's challenging, for sure. But Nottingham Forest are showing that it can be done, right? And it can be done over a long period of time. So, it'll be interesting to see if, based off of this season, that stigma changes a little bit, in terms of, hey, this is a really legit way to play. And it's not just because we can't attack, it's a philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. So I guess we can sit here and try to figure out all day what's going on with Atlanta, and hopefully it resolves itself. Like you said, season's not
I think
over.
it will. I think it will.
I agree. It's just frustrating in the moment. I think the expectations, like you got a little bit of goodwill at the end of last season with the playoffs. It was amazing. And then you come in with so much hype, so many expectations this season, and then it just kind of falls flat on its face. But it is MLS. You just got to make it to the playoffs.
Totally. And sometimes it's when you least expect it, right? You're on the road to Orlando this weekend, right? You're down a center back at least. You just traded away a good attacking piece, right? Expectations can't be very high right now after the last couple performances, and Orlando's a good team, right? And that's a tough place to go. So I like our chances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because it's MLS.
exactly. Don't never bet on MLS, people. Never bet
Never,
on
never.
So jumping to another league, what's going on with Rhode Island?
Rhode Island. We got the stadium opening up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island next weekend. So is it next weekend? Yeah.
I think that's what I
May
read.
3rd? Is
Yeah.
May 3rd next weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next weekend, yeah, because that's when
Yeah,
Atlanta plays
coming up quick.
Nashville.
So I head up there a week from today, actually, and then I'll be up there for the stadium opener. Beautiful stadium that we've got going. So really, really excited. We sold it out. It's 10,000, just over 10,000 seats. It's going to be a great day. And then obviously a lot of games after that. We've started out on the road up until this point. So not a great start to the season, but probably expected. Last year, I think we were towards the bottom midway through the season and ended up having a great run and, basically a Galaxy-esque type thing from the bottom to the top.
Yep.
And so, yeah, hopefully we can have another good run on it. But exciting project. I've learned a lot being on the other side of things.
I can imagine.
It's a lot more to a soccer club than just showing up and kicking a soccer ball.
Who knew?
Yeah, not I. So no, it's been a really fun project to be a part of, and obviously being my hometown there, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those that maybe don't know, obviously the stadium is kind of one main anchor piece of kind of a further development, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's think I forget what the Braves situation is, but
The
think
battery.
that. But yeah,
Yeah.
the battery's on steroids, but we're gonna
Yeah.
build something very way more subdued than that. But yeah, basically the eat, sleep, play type concept, right? Where we've got apartments, condos, right there with some restaurants and stores and things. So yeah, it'll be a really, really cool project. The stadium, like you said, is the anchor and step one. So that's honestly, it's finishing this week.
Yep.
Gosh, a little nervous for some people, and then then they start on step two, which is right next to the stadium, and then across the water is step three. So yeah, it's a big project, but yeah, the stadium is my main focus anyway. So
Yeah, for sure. And
exciting.
it's a neat looking stadium. It's really awesome. When we get done here and we share this and all that, I'll put a link maybe to obviously the club, the stadium and all that with it as well. But
Awesome.
it's been cool watching over the couple of years. And it's crazy because I remember, I think, was it 2 years ago that y'all did the groundbreaking? Maybe it was 3. I don't know. And I remember having you on then, and I think you had just gotten done with that at the time. So
Yeah,
you come along, it's cool.
For sure. Yeah, it's been really cool to see the project from start to finished for the stadium at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, to put together a team and to think back, like, man, it just takes so much. So what Atlanta United did back in 17, in 15, 16, 17, leading up to it, incredible work by the people on the ground there and in the staff. just to create everything that we took advantage of.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Any final thoughts? Anything else you just want to get out into the universe?
No. No, I got nothing. Nope. I'm looking forward to the game this weekend, though. I think Atlanta United is going to bounce back, and I am bullish on the season still. I think they're going to figure it out, and once they get on a run, they'll be good. And maybe you add a piece in the. I was hoping they would add Gressel back with
Yeah,
him not playing in Miami. He found a new home, but it wasn't Atlanta. I was disappointed with that, but yeah, I think that you probably add another piece here. In the summer, so anything can happen.
you still chat with Gresselmania?
I do.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I was texting him today. I said, "Hey, where are you going?"
He's just jumping on. He's making the grand tour of MLS teams for
I
sure.
know.
So,
It's
all
pretty
right,
surprising.
yeah, absolutely, Parky. I really appreciate the time, man. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise, yeah. No, it's always good to jump on and talk Atlanta. So yeah, hit me up more frequently.
Absolutely, we'll make it happen, man. I appreciate it.
You got it.